make our roll collar jacket or the shawl collar jacket, we'll be needing our vertical and circumference measurement. For the vertical measurement, we'll be needing our bust point, under bust point, waist point, and the jacket length. So these are my own measurements. You should also do well to measure yourself as well. For our circumference measurement, we'll be needing a round bust, round waist, and a round hip. These are my own measurements. Do well to take your own measurements. After getting all my measurements, the next thing I did was to mark all my vertical measurements, and I started with my bust point, my under bust point, my waist, and my length. That's the length of my jacket. I rolled a line across all these points and also named them accordingly. Over the years, it has been proven that pattern drafting when it comes to fashion and designing is very important, because there's some kinds of styles that you cannot just measure on your fabric directly. You just have to draft on your pattern paper. And so for this particular style, that is a shawl jacket or the roller jacket, you can either call it a shawl jacket or a roller jacket. It is important to use a pattern paper so that you do not make any mistake at all. When you use a pattern paper, you are most likely to reduce the errors you make directly on your fabric. Most people in the fashion industry already know how to sew, like they can actually couple an outfit together and make it come out nice. But the common problem is in cutting, manipulating a particular style, knowing what comes first and what comes next, and then drafting, basically pattern drafting. Hello love, welcome to my channel. This is Sew with Oma. In this channel we are about sewing tutorials, pattern drafting. We give out fashion and business information. We literally talk about anything and everything fashion here. If you are just seeing my video for the first time, do not forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're a returning subscriber and you forgot to subscribe the first time you watched my video, this is a good opportunity for you to subscribe today. The next thing I'm going to do now is to take my shoulder measurement, and my shoulder measurement is 8, and I'm going to add half an inch just for ease. And on my neckline, I'm going to mark about 3 inches and mark 1 inch down. From my shoulder point, I'm going to mark down 1 inch. That will serve as my shoulder slope. And I'm just going to connect the points like so, as you see me do. And on my neckline, I usually rule my straight ruler just to connect all the points together before using my French curve or my curved ruler to shaping out the neckline. That is to curve it out. After that is done, the next thing to do is to get my chest line, and that will be my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Remember, my shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I'm going to mark down 8 inches there. Remember, on my shoulder I did 8.5, and I said that's because of the ease allowance on the shoulder. But for the chest line, you don't need to add the ½ inch again. Just use your normal shoulder measurement divided by 2. The next thing I did was that on my shoulder line that connects to the chest line, I took my tape and divided by 2. So I have 8 inches there. Divided by 2 is 4. I just marked the point there, and then from that point I measured ½ an inch in, and then I also took my bust measurement divided by 4. My bust measurement divided by 4 is 10. I added 1 inch for ease allowance on my chest line, and then I just ruled my armhole like so. After connecting those points, on my waistline, I took my waist measurement divided by 4 and just marked it like so. And then on my hip line, I took my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease allowance. It is always important to add 1 inch ease allowance. You can add more than 1 inch depending on the size of the person, but it should not be less than 1 inch. And this is because we are making a jacket and we do not want the hip area or the bust area to be very tight or uncomfortable for us when we wear it. After marking on my points, I just rolled a line across, connecting all the points together. And so the next thing I did was to get my dart, and from my chest point, which is my chest line, I took my apex measurement, my bust span divided by 2, and that's 4, and I just marked it all through to my length and rolled a line across all those points. On my under bust, I took ½ an inch on both sides of the line, and then on my waist point as well, I took ½ an inch on both sides of the line. Then on my length, that's on the length of the jacket, I went up by 2 inches. After getting on my point, I'm just going to connect the way you see me do. So you just connect the way you see me do in the video. The next thing I'm going to do is to replace my dart intake, and so I'm just going to mark 1 inch on the waist, on the under bust and on the waist point, and just connect to my chest line and to my hip line. After that is done, I want to get my zip dart. This would help prevent the jacket from bulging at the back. And so from the waist point, I took 2 inches up, and then from that point, I measured about half an inch and quarter. That is less than 1 inch, half an inch and quarter out. After getting the point, I just put my ruler in a slanted form and connected up to the neckline as you see me do. And then on the down part from that point, I also slanted my ruler and connected down. So this is what your zip dart would look like if you follow the steps in the video. So this is all for the back. The next thing we're going to do is to cut out all the irrelevant parts of this pattern paper. And moving forward, we shall draft now the front pattern. For the front pattern, the first thing I did was to mark from the edge of the pattern paper about 4 inches down, and then I just ruled a line across. The next thing I did was to get my jacket length, which is 23 inches, and then from the other side of the pattern paper, the edge of the pattern paper, I measured about 3 inches, and I started my measurement from the length of the jacket, that's the jacket length, up to the top edge of the pattern paper, and I then ruled a line across all those points, connected my jacket length together. After that was done, the next thing I did was from the 4 inches line that I ruled from the top edge of the pattern paper, I measured all my points, that is my bust point, under bust point, waist, and then named accordingly. And so the next thing I did was to get my shoulder measurement. Remember, my shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2, which is 8, and I added half an inch for ease allowance. And so the next thing I did was to get my neckline. My width is about 3 inches and the depth is about 3 inches. Also on my shoulder, I also marked about 1 inch for shoulder slope and connected the line like so. To get my chest line, I'm going to take my tape from the shoulder slope and then mark down, which is about 8 inches. We do not need the half inch that I added on my shoulder for ease. On the chest line, we just need to use the accurate or the exact shoulder measurement divided by 2. And so the next thing I did was to rule a straight line from the shoulder slope to my chest line. To get my armhole from that line, I'm going to put my tape there and fold it back into 2 to get the midpoint. And from the midpoint, I'm going to measure in half an inch. And then on my chest line, I'm going to measure my bust measurement, that's my round bust measurement, divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease, and then I'll just connect using my French curve to form my armhole. After that is done, on my waist, I'm going to take my round waist measurement divided by 4 and I'm just going to mark it there. On my length, I'm going to divide my round hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease, and I'm just going to connect all the points together as you see me do. The next thing to do now is to get our dart, and from our bust point, I'm going to mark my apex or my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 8, divided by 2 is 4. And I'm just going to mark it from my bust point down to my length and rule a straight line across. On my under bust point and on my waist point, I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides and just rule a straight line to connect those points together. After that is done, on my length, I'm going to mark in 2 inches. That would be where I would be joining the darts together. And then from the under bust, I'm going to take the dart up like so. From the waist, I'm also going to connect the lines like so to the 2 inches I marked up. The next thing we're going to do now is to replace our dart intake. And so from my under bust, I'm going to mark the 1 inch that I took for my dart, and on my waist, I'm going to mark it like so and just connect to my straight ruler up to the chest line. Using my curved ruler, I'm going to connect from the waist to my length. From my under bust, I'm going to mark out 1 inch. You can mark 1.5. I'm going to mark out 1 inch all the way from my under bust down to my length. This will serve as my button allowance. Using my straight ruler, I'm going to connect all the points. On my under bust, I'm going to mark down 2 inches and I'm going to rule the line from the 1 inch line I ruled, connecting it to my center front. Now I want to form a new neckline, and so from my shoulder point, I'm going to use my straight ruler and place it like you see me do and just rule the line straight down to the under bust. If you follow what I'm doing in the video, you're going to get this perfectly, so just take your time and watch the video properly. Remember, we're making a shawl collar jacket or a roll collar jacket, and so this kind of collar is usually together with the jacket. It is not like detached and then attached again. You don't cut out separately and then attach it. It's usually together with the jacket. Now we want to have the back collar. We want to draft it on our front jacket. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our tape, our measurement tape. Now we're using the centimeter, we're not using the inches. We're going to measure our back neck, and anything you get there, that is what you now use to get your back collar when you're drafting on your front pattern paper. This part is usually a bit confusing, especially when you're just attempting this for the first time, but don't be confused, just keep watching, you would get this eventually. Keeping your back neck measurement in mind, now on your front pattern paper, you're going to come to your neckline. As you see me doing, you're going to mark about quarter, that is half an inch. You're going to mark that out from your neckline, and when you mark that out, you're just going to rule a straight line joining your initial new neckline that we connected to the under bust, right? Joining that, you're going to mark it up again using your straight line. You're just going to mark it up. Now this is where we need our back neck measurement. All right, so you're going to use your centimeter. Remember I said when measuring your back, you're going to use your centimeter. From there, your shoulder point, from that place where you marked out half an inch, you're going to place your measurement tape on the centimeter side, and from that point you're going to mark up whatever measurement you got. All right, and so from that point, personally, I mark forward about 4.5 inches. This 4.5 inches serves as your collar width. You can make yours 5, you can make yours 4. The next thing you're going to do now is from that point you have marked 4.5, on that your shoulder line now, right, on your center front, your shoulder line, you're going to place your measurement tape on your shoulder line with your centimeter measurement that you got at your back neck. Please take your time and understand what I'm saying. So let's say you got about 8 centimeter, you're going to go up by 8 centimeter plus 1 centimeter, that's 9 centimeter. The essence of this is to form a slope to meet that your 8 centimeter that you measured. And so after doing that, you're now going to use your curved ruler, place it like you see me placing it. When you're used to forming your collar and you understand what it takes to make a roll collar or a shawl collar, you can now manipulate the kind of collar shape you want. But for the sake of this video and for the sake of this tutorial, please follow how I placed my ruler, okay? And then use your curved ruler, rule your line all the way from the under bust line, that is the under bust line that I went down by 2 inches, and then just rule it up to connect to your 4.5 inches, okay? Take your time, watch the video, follow the steps. If you can follow the steps one after the other, you're definitely going to know how to make this shawl collar, okay? So love, that is all about this shawl collar or roll collar. I'm just using my straight ruler and my curved ruler with a red marker. It was not even showing, but I just wanted to connect all the lines so that you can see it very well. That is basically everything about this collar. Next thing I did was just to cut out all my excesses on the pattern paper, and yep, voila, you have your jacket in your pattern paper. If you have watched up to this point, I have a secret to make your jacket stand out from the regular and every other common jacket, and this is what it is. On the side of your front and back pattern paper, what you're going to do is you're going to mark up about 1 inch, and using your straight ruler, you're just going to connect to the center front and the center back of your pattern paper. So you're going to do it for both your front pattern and your back pattern, okay? And you're going to cut out. This is basically how you're going to make your jacket stand out from the other jackets you see in the market or in the fashion industry, okay? This would help your jacket to sit well and not make it bulge out on your sides, okay? After getting that done, this is dependent on if you want your center front to have a curve on the length of your jacket. If you want that, you're just going to move up on your center front by 2 inches, and then using your curved ruler, you're just going to curve it like so, okay? Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you really did watch this tutorial to the end, you are the real MVP. Is that the word? But thank you, really. I really do appreciate, and I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you found it insightful. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to like, share, and if you'd like to see the sewing tutorial of this video, leave a comment in the comment section telling me you'd like to see the sewing tutorial, okay? Thank you, until we see in our next video. Mwah.